first had to realize you are not your company. When people ask, what do you do? They're asking because what we do is often our best approximation for who we are, and our work naturally becomes our identity. This is more true for entrepreneurs than anyone else. Your business can be all-consuming. Your identity, your baby, the reason you get up in the morning. I felt this way completely when I built my first business. From the outside, it looked like a phenomenal success, but from the inside, I felt like shit. I poured my whole life and identity into this company, and once it was gone, it felt like the biggest part of me was lost. What's worse is that when I lost the company, I lost all the systems and effort that I put into the company to get it to where it was. That's when I accidentally discovered CEO mindset number 1. When I turned on a TV and saw businessman and hedge fund manager Carl Icahn on an HBO documentary. This was a man who ran a $4 billion enterprise, and unlike me, didn't seem stressed or burnt out. He was one of the happiest people that I'd ever seen running a company. As he spoke, I realized that he didn't think of himself as being any of his companies. Instead, he was Carl. He considered himself to be an asset manager, and his identity was diversified among his assets, instead of pouring everything into just one thing in life. And if a company was shuttered or sold, he didn't lose sleep because they were just one small piece of his identity. No more did I invest 100% of myself in a company, grow it, sell it, then lose my identity in it. Instead, I started building my most important business asset and the one I'll always benefit from, my personal brand. I like to think of it as a holding company named Gray Enterprises. And as I grow my personal brand, any company I build under that Gray Enterprises umbrella is built to benefit me, my ambitions, my vision, and my goals. This didn't just help me, it helped my companies thrive too. When a company faces a struggle, loses key clients or talent, or doesn't hit a growth target we set, it doesn't mean I failed as a human being. Instead, as an asset manager, those challenges are just lessons I can learn from, adapt to, and keep winning. When you align your personal brand with your businesses, you'll benefit in these 3 ways. First, your mental health improves. You are no longer out of sync with the impact your company aims to generate. There will be less dissonance as you pour time, energy, and money into your company. It will nourish your mental state rather than drain it. Entrepreneurship has been disconnected from the pursuit of freedom it used to be. It's become a romanticized nightmare. By creating a sustainable relationship between your personal brand and your business, you can pursue it with intensity, but leave enough in the tank for your own personal fulfillment. Second, your companies improve because your identity and values are now aligned with your companies. It feels better to build with this perspective, and your bandwidth opens up in ways that didn't seem possible before when your soul and the business were arm wrestling for a commitment from you. Third, your brand thrives. When BitMaker sold, I barely existed online, and all my credibility was tied to the one thing outside of me. Today, I have 2.2 million followers across the Matt Gray brand, and that credibility extends to any future project or initiative that I launch. And it goes with me no matter what happens to my portfolio of assets. And what's more, people want to connect with other people more than ever. When you build a community of raving fans, that feeds attention into your current or future businesses. CEOs that view themselves as asset managers instead of companies not only grow their companies faster, but also get to have their lives back. This unlocks limitless energy and fuel to push themselves even further in their business and their lives. This leads us to lesson number 2, the ROI Rule. Last year, I joined a mastermind program for entrepreneurs at a similar stage of business. Over the course of several days, I met with other founders, talked through challenges in other businesses, and listened to a few presentations by the organizer. This privilege cost me $68,000 for just 3 days. Here's the deal. Top 1% CEOs don't focus on cost as their primary factor for decision making. Cost is just a number. Money is a lever. Warren Buffett put it this way: price is what you pay, value is what you get. If you can spend $68,000 or even $1 million somewhere in your portfolio, but then get $2 million of benefits elsewhere, you've traded up. You can think of it in one of 2 ways, in terms of cost or in terms of return. As a result of that mastermind, I will add $5 million of value to my business within the next 3 years. The connections I made, I wouldn't have found anywhere else. The sticker price of the mastermind only meant entrepreneurs making 8 figures or more could attend, and those connections have already led to valuable partnerships, knowledge, and hires that I never would have found anywhere else. I realized areas I was getting stuck on, which of my plans had the highest leverage, and what new, higher leverage opportunities I hadn't even been considering. Setting aside this time and investment forced me to slow down and think about the business as a whole. If I just kept cruising and reacting to the business, there were massive product and market opportunities I would have ignored. But I never would have unlocked those opportunities if I thought in terms of cost. Instead, I switched my lens to value. Use this lens when it comes to your business. When it comes to hiring, can you spend 3x more on a higher salary to recruit a team member who brings 100x results? When it comes to education, can you invest $3,000 today to learn an insight that will bring you 6 figures to your bottom line in the next 12 months? When it comes to systems, can you invest the time, money, and energy today into building your personal brand and then be able to benefit from that decades to come? It's easy to see $68,000 of costs as a good return on investment after the results come in, but it's hard to see it up front before those returns are even realized. That's why you have to pair the ROI rule with the third level of thinking of top CEOs, which I call the 18-month rule. CEOs are impatient. We want to conquer the world right now. There are so many opportunities to pursue. So if we pick one and it isn't showing immediate return, it's tempting to declare that thing a failure. That happened to me when I began transitioning to building my personal brand and thinking of myself as an asset manager. I got on LinkedIn, I joined X, I started posting my insights, but at first, I barely saw any movement in my numbers. I watched the data every day. If something got traction, I was excited, but most of the time, things were flatlined or even moving backwards. I'd been posting for 10 days, then 30 days, then 50 days, and it didn't seem like it was getting any easier. So I asked my network, what was I doing wrong? And the people with hundreds of thousands or even millions of social followers looked at what I had done and they gave me the same advice. Stop focusing on the results you see today. Start focusing on the results you'll see in 18 months. Top 1% CEOs don't judge the results of their efforts on the same time scale. They extrapolate years down the line to hit their goals. If you can't commit to working on something for 18 months, don't work on it at all. After 2 years of committing to my social plan, as of today, I've grown to over 2.2 million followers. I've grown past the folks I initially asked for advice from. But if I had given up my efforts in month 2, I never would have seen any return on them. Anything worth doing is worth doing for 18 months. So don't focus on today's outcome. Focus on the things you can control. Be relentless in your commitment to action and improvement in all aspects of your business over the longest time horizon possible. That's how CEOs win. And there's no area where this matters more in your business than on the next topic, hiring. Level 4 thinking of a CEO is what I call the Bozo Bar. One of the greatest paradoxes of growing your business is that if left unchecked, your hiring will get worse, not better over time. Steve Jobs described this process in a lecture he was giving. Over time, if you aren't careful, you're going to hire folks who are lower quality than your original team. He pointed out in particular the risk of hiring professional managers, people without functional experience who have more power to hire even more people below themselves. Steve calls these people bozos. When you hire bozos, they'll hire even worse bozos, lowering your talent's average quality until it falls below the Bozo Bar. Great CEOs have to build mechanisms into their business to avoid talent quality falling below the Bozo Bar, at which point it becomes hard to reverse and then decline. Instead, model your hiring process after another 1% CEO, Jeff Bezos. At Amazon, Bezos instituted a practice that still continues to this day, the idea of a bar raiser. For any new hire, Amazon appoints a bar raiser, an employee who assesses if a new hire will raise the average bar of performance or lower it. Bar raisers from all over the company will be a key part of the hiring process and ensure that any new staff are 50% more skilled than someone in a similar role. This is a deliberate way to keep the company's bozo meter in check, and instead hire A+ performers that increase your effectiveness. Spending time interviewing multiple candidates and coming up with objective measures to evaluate their skill level is time-consuming, but it is a high ROI activity. For every hour you spend finding a great candidate, you'll save hundreds of hours not dealing with B or C players who will not actively help your business and may actually lower your chances of accomplishing your long-term goals. The next level of CEO thinking is known as the Pinterest effect. Before you can raise the standard of anything in your business, you have to raise it for the information you consume. Your attention is a scarce resource, so you must spend it strategically. Identify the areas of your business that move the needle, then make a strategy of documentation and curation of best-in-class resources for improving those specific areas. It's almost like you're creating a Pinterest board of business insights and inspiration. By default, information is scattered, distracting, and will likely slow you down more than it's gonna help you. If you intentionally capture information and then restructure it based on your goals, you can use that and then turn it into future standard operating procedures for your own team. This allows you to develop your taste and then scale it across your organization in every function. Open source blueprints exist all over the internet. This channel has hundreds of frameworks, mindsets, and operating systems to grow your business. Use tools like Readwise, MyMind, and Notion to capture the best information available. And then, whether it's public or locked behind some paid resource, you can then curate that to use it in your own business. It's gonna help you a lot faster than consuming the same information at a slower pace, spread out over more resources. You will build a bank of wisdom to draw on whenever you need insights in any category of your business. If you'd like to download my own personal Pinterest board of business insights every week, sign up for the FounderOS newsletter via the link in the description. I'll share with you one core system to help you go and capture and accelerate your own founder journey every single week, so go check that out. Which leads us to the topmost level of CEO thinking. As entrepreneurs, you quickly realize that effort is the lifeblood of your business, especially early on. If you aren't getting something done, it doesn't happen. The equation looks like this: effort equals outcomes. If you add more effort, you get more results. When we face any challenge, our first instinct is likely to pour more energy and more energy and more effort into those businesses. We make more content, book more prospect calls, and launch more products, until one day we're burnt out, with nothing left to give. We got more outcomes, sure, but is that the point? When I polled my community of thousands of founders, the number one reason they started their company wasn't getting rich for its own sake. It was freedom. Freedom to control your schedule and what you work on. Freedom to take care of your mind and body. Freedom to spend time with friends, family, and loved ones. Effort gets you results as long as you keep pushing. It doesn't get you freedom. You're stuck in this equation forever. Let's rework it. Over time, we want to apply our effort into two things: building teams and building systems. The new equation is this: effort plus team times systems equals outcomes. This is what I call the freedom equation. At first, it'll still feel like mostly effort as you're starting to build a team and you're just starting to clarify your systems. But eventually, the team can drive outcomes themselves, and our systems start to drive outcomes too. We start to apply the same effort or even less, but our returns keep going up. This is why this is the most important level of CEO thinking, because if you can apply it to all 5 other levels, you can use that effort to build systems that work outside of you. And once you have those teams and the systems in place, you become a top 1% CEO. Not doing it all alone, not pouring your whole identity into a company, not fixated on cost. Instead, you get what you were probably aiming for in the first place: a life of founder freedom, putting your time and energy into living a full life doing what you care about most. For my full system on becoming a top 1% founder, check out the link in the description. Like, subscribe, and welcome to the Founder Freedom Movement.